What's going on, YouTube? One of the stories circulating the airwaves today is former Trump girlfriend Brewer Lane was depicted in a New York Times piece. Basically a hit piece on Donald Trump and how he conducts himself with women in private. And they depicted the relationship between Brewer Lane, the former Trump girlfriend, and Donald Trump, I guess in a negative fashion, you could say, and that he demeaned her. Well, anyway, the story is Brewer Lane got on Fox News today and told her side of the story and how she's so disgusted by the New York Times and how they depicted her version of the story and whatnot. So I want to show the clip and then we'll come back here to discuss it a little bit.
More than a dozen former employees, girlfriends, and pageant queens from his past. But now one of those women is speaking out, saying she was totally misquoted. Here she is now to set the record straight. Joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina, former model Rowanne Brewer Lane. Good morning, Rowanne. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. What was your reaction when you read this article yesterday?
Actually, it was very upsetting.
Why?
I was not happy to read it at all. Well, because the New York Times told us several times that they would make sure that my story that I was telling came across. They promised several times that they would do it accurately. They told me several times, and my manager several times, that it would not be a hit piece and that my story would come across the way that I was telling it, and honestly, and it absolutely was not.
What did they get wrong?
Well, they did take quotes from what I said, and they put a negative connotation on it. They spun it to where it appeared negative. I did not have a negative experience with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't appreciate them making it look like that I was saying that it was a negative experience, because
you
it
knew
was
him
not.
very well, right? You dated him for several months?
That's correct. Yes. And he never made me feel like I was being demeaned in any way. He never offended me in any way. He was very gracious. I saw him around all types of people, all types of women. He was very kind, thoughtful, generous. You know, he was a gentleman. He was a gentleman, and it was a...
The New York Times, this is a quote from the article. Donald J. Trump had barely met Rowanne Brewer Lane when he asked her to change out of her clothes. True or false?
False.
Why?
All right, so that's enough. We'll come back to the full screen to discuss it a little bit.
How did you meet Donald Trump?
All right, so you guys saw Brewer Lane going on the Fox News and talking about the article in the New York Times about her and Trump's relationship and other women's relationship with Trump and her frustrations about how she feels she was misquoted and that, you know, they spun her story and whatnot. And, you know, if she's saying it, you know, they definitely spun the story. You can't defend the New York Times here. I don't care what your political views are. If the person that was interviewed is coming out and saying, hey, they're spinning my story, this isn't what I wanted to come out, the person publishing the story is in the wrong then. Obviously, they're spinning the story. So, I mean, I know this isn't the biggest deal in the entire world, but this goes on a lot in the media where they interview someone and then they just put their own spin on whatever they say to fit their agenda. In this case, the New York Times just wants to promote the idea that Donald Trump is anti-women or he demeans women or whatever the case may be, that he hasn't been a friend to women. By interviewing these women and trying to get them to say things negative about Donald Trump. Well, anyway, this lady here on the interview had nothing like that to say about Mr. Trump. And, you know, the New York Times still took some of her quotes, but they just spun it in their own way to promote that idea that, oh, Donald Trump is, you know, he's a misogynist or, you know, he demeans women or whatever the case may be. You know, it's not right to do. You know, I know more publications do this than just the New York Times. Publications on the right do it all the time. Fox News does it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So I recognize that, but you got to call it out when you see it, and it's not a good thing. You know, you need to represent the story of what the person is saying, not spin it into a totally different story. You got to get the essence of the story that was told in the interview. You can't just make up your own story and just throw some quotes in there and just spin it into what you want the story to be, so then your viewers, or your readers in this case, can decide what the story actually was. No, you get the story from the person that you interviewed and you publish it as it is. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this story. Like I said, I know it's not the biggest story in the world, but it's been circulating the airwaves and on TV today, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and please subscribe if you guys want to see future content from this channel, and like this video if you guys liked it.